And the question is then, how do you get around that block?
Part of it in my mind, me, thinking about me, was to start like really centering on myself in certain ways. First of all, my health started going in certain ways, and I had to start thinking and dealing in ways I hadn't had to before.
Okay.
And I was here, and a lot of times bouncing back and forth, and I really hadn't spent time here doing, and I still haven't done some of it. You know, these models, and I did a whole bunch of these this winter because I sat in this place by myself during the winter.
Yeah.
And isolated time, and I absorbed all those kind of energies.
Did you burn the models?
Most of them I burned because they weren't good. You know, I mean, I was planning, trying to achieve something, and it wasn't working. And plus, I still get a bunch of those models down there. It's clutter. You know, you get a whole bunch of things, you shove it over, and it becomes clutter. In a space like this, we haven't cleaned out our clutter a lot of times. So, you know, even burner and I.
Do you feel this time of cleaning out clutter is coming then? And see, I hear what you're saying, and I keep hearing reasons for not.
Okay.
Doing.
Yeah. Right.
And what I'm trying to get is a
reason for doing.
A reason for doing, or a statement of expectation for doing. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a statement from you or of you that says, I expect that within X amount of time, or I expect at all that we are going to get this back together and make it work and proceed from where we were. Except that cut our losses, as it were, stop them from being losses. Say, losses are cut right here, now we start. Okay, and this is the question. See, I don't see this happening. I want to know if you see this possibility coming within a foreseeable future.
Yeah, but there's other elements too. You know,
there's your
spices thrown into
there's your health, and there's this person and that person, and
I think to answer part of your question there, in doing that in the video and so on, is introducing you more firmly. Like you come up here, you spend some time here. You and I have some time just between us, or you know, George and us, that we couldn't have down in the city. We had some experience. We went out to Bread and Puppet, so we start getting that together. You are more focused in a particular way with video that Werner is not. That Werner will never be, and shouldn't be forced to be.
Oh, I believe that I learned what I know of video from Werner.
That's all right.
That's great.
That's where that's from.
That's fine too. I learned a great deal from him. I think he's learned a great deal from me. I know I've learned a great deal from George.
Everybody learns a great deal from me.
There's another thing too, Tom. When I speak of particular people, and I came back from California with this right in my mind, and maybe not where I could really verbalize it, but I have since then. George, when I go to the city, I see George, I see John, I see Werner. I occasionally get together with Joe. These are people out of my past that I've had relatively strong relationships at different times with, under different circumstances.
If I hear you say that you can say things to us that you can't say to other people because we have a history over 10 years, I'm going to throw up.
That's not what I was
saying. I want to see you throw up. Say it!
That's not exactly what I was going to say, but that's
similar, yeah. I've heard that too many times. I've heard that from John now, and I haven't heard it from Werner, but I've heard it from John too, in exactly the same terms that you put it out.
Well, John has a particular thing with me.
Right.
And well, but that's part of it. Right. We all have something with each other, and plus we somehow or other there's that group too that's been going back, and I can include Jackson, and I can include the Cooperative Artist Institute in aspects of it.
Is that still a? I've never heard anything about that before this moment. So is that a going concern?
Oh yeah.
Or that is a going concern.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. These people worked with me in the past with the box. Okay. If you talk about the box, they've made a history of focusing on that.
Okay. Well, now I'm talking about focusing on some direct work, which in fact creates some form of art. I don't want to say product because I don't do products. Okay, but some form, in my terminology, some form of art wherein there is in fact accomplishment.
Well, I think that's happened. I've done certain things, and when Werner came...
Okay, we're not talking about the past now. We're talking about right now. We, as I said before, there seems to have been an impasse where work stopped. You centered on yourself, and Werner centered on himself, and George centered on himself, and so everyone is centered out here. And in fact, it's the conglomeration which you speak of when you talk about the things that you and Werner did. These are things where you seem to consider them works. You know, this is a work of art. Okay, this is a thing that we have done.
Yeah.
Now, I don't see this happening. Now, it's my view, obviously, but I don't see this happening lately. As a matter of fact, I hear that from the principals, I hear that in fact the work has basically stopped. Nothing is happening, aside from each person centering on himself, but not producing. Okay, this work which is a collaborative effort. Okay, and now, instead of going back to the past and saying we did this, I want to go into the future and say I expect this. Or
okay, well, see,
what
some
is
of those things
the desires
and
the hearts?
Things have come around and might not come around for a little bit even yet. And that's, you know, at a point when you, whatever the energy is that comes out of it, it comes out of a person, the inspiration, you know, sparks. Because it's
you expect this like a nova, and you expect this like an occurrence wherein all of the stars hit the proper alignment and boom, it happens.
No, what I'm thinking about is why I'm thinking about it. I'm not always consciously, but over a period of time, eventually something's going to get stuck in my head, and I'm going to realize something out of what I've done, that also what's been right and what's been wrong out of that, to start going on with something else and do that right, whatever that might be. Just as an individual.
You have hopes and dreams for this thing that you can't envision?
That I can or can't?
Can't.
That I can't envision?
Yeah.
There's realizations of it that I can see but I can't express. See, I focus on a thing, an object, Pandora's box. This is my focal point, my life's work in a certain way, and where's that going with it? I did something with it that made it be. It never existed in a form before, and I made it be.
You became God as we all become God in what we do, essentially.
Yeah. But then, you know, that's going on. But how do I do something with that that's going to satisfy me and satisfy an outside, whether it be a product or a video or, you know, whatever it might be, that's going to cause that loop, that infinity loop to happen. What's happened is this. It just hasn't gone to this yet.
All right, and what do you see as the cause of the aberration then? Circular is the norm.
Because
every now and then we fall into the
infinite. There's an element in its reality that I haven't yet been able to acknowledge.
There's a development in the reality of the box.
Of it.
That you haven't
been able to acknowledge, which is partially in getting it out and having accepted as a universal concept with people.
So you're talking dissemination now. Is the dissemination then the...
No, I'm talking
getting it out is dissemination.
No. I've always said this, you know, to you ever since our work together on the box, but we haven't been able to go any farther on that either, which, you know, because the box is your trip, it's not my trip. The box is not the universal symbol. What the universal symbol are the interlacings.
Yeah, well,
the five platonic solids,
yeah.
And all those interlacings have not been explored. You've been going back over and over and over and over and over and over again, the cube and the tetrahedron, the cube and the tetrahedron, the cube and the tetrahedron.
Well, the octahedron, the icosahedron that comes out in other words.
But you haven't gone on to make other models, of the other interlacings. If you did that, you know, if you started making models of the other interlacings, the way that we did at one time before,
all right.
You know, then I think you might be able to break through.
Well, part of that I think is in tools.
It's
like making a lot of
bullshit. The best way to do it, and I saw that when we came in here and I saw these models. The best way to do that is to start the interlacings just out of sticks and strings. Because we've tried making them out of solids, and it doesn't work. It's too difficult. But I think if you did them, as frameworks, you might be able to get somewhere. But you might be able to look at them a little bit differently. Because there's some stuff on the black and white on a piece of paper. You have all those papers now. You have the bibliography of form.
Mm-hmm.
There's stuff on the black and white that two-dimensional that is impossible to interpret. They have to be made three-dimensional.
Yeah.
Now, if you started doing that, if you took out that piece of paper and you said, well, tonight I'll make this one, and for a month, 25 nights, you made a different one to have a whole setup there, and then started making them with hinges off of that, if you could, boy, you would really have something there. And that's the set. That's the universal symbology.